Hello everyone, Lawrence here with Gigabyte Aorus Z270X Gaming 5 motherboard. I did my Ryzen build a few weeks ago with the AM4 version of this motherboard, but the Intel Z270 chipset changes things quite a lot, so I wanted to do this video as well. If you want to see the Gaming 7 review, subscribe because that one's going live next week. Unboxing the Z270X Gaming 5 is a familiar experience. On the box you can see all the supported technologies, and I'll go over them in more detail later. Inside you find the motherboard and some accessories. There's the manual, driver CD and installation guide, 4 SATA 3 cables, 2 of them have an angled connector on one side. There's also a nickel plated I/O shield and an extension cable along with the G connector, which is a little breaker box that you plug into your front panel connectors, which really makes installing the front panel connectors a whole lot more easy. Onto the board itself then, there's the black and white aesthetic combined with a few shiny accents. Let's go over the motherboard's features. This board sports the Intel Z270 chipset along with the 1151 socket for 6th and 7th gen Intel CPUs. Of course i5 and i7 chips are what you should be using in a board like this, but Pentiums and Celerons are also supported. Power delivery looks pretty solid due to the 9+3+1 VRM solution. The heatsinks are pretty beefy and power or cooling won't be limiting this board at all. For overclocking purposes, there's a Turbo B clock chip which allows for finer base clock adjustments than what the CPU itself can do. Of course, for those really high frame rates you can't go without fast memory, so this board supports up to 4133 MHz RAM or higher. XMP is present as well, and next to the memory slots is an overclocking and an eco button, but more about overclocking later. Being 2017, there's of course RGB lighting everywhere, and you can find RGB LEDs on the VRMs, between the memory slots, underneath the PCIe slots, on the audio cover, as well as this customizable LED strip on the right side of the motherboard. And I have a custom one coming my way very soon, which I'm pretty excited about. To keep everything running cool, there are 5 PWM fan headers with pump support as well. At the bottom you also find the usual front panel connectors, USB, audio and RGB headers. Setting up fan profiles can easily be done with SmartFan 5. Given that this board is aimed at gamers, GPU support is pretty important. You get 2-way SLI and 3-way crossfire support. The top PCIe slot runs at 16x, and if you use the second slot as well, both run at 8x. The one at the bottom only runs at 4x, and then the other ones are all 1x. There are also dual M.2 4x slots, and the top one supports full length while the bottom slot is limited to 80mm sticks. Optane support is here as well, along with a BIOS poster at the bottom and 4 LEDs to show which component of your computer isn't running properly. For all your other storage needs, there are 3 SATA Express, 6 SATA 3s and 1 U.2 connector available. Moving to external connections then, there are dual USB 3 and dual USB 2 front panel headers, and then on the rear I/O are dual USB 2.0, 4 USB 3.0, along with dual USB 3.1 Gen 2 for speeds up to 10 gigabits a second. One of them is also a Type-C port. The yellow ports at the top feature voltage compensation in case you run really long cables. There's also a mixed PS2 port, HDMI 1.4 and DisplayPort 1.2. Onboard audio is pretty good thanks to the TI amp and the Sound Blaster software. And then for all your networking needs, you get 1 gigabit internet port by Intel and the other one is done by Killer. I would really like to see both of those ports done by Intel so you can team them up for even faster networking. Also, I would really like to see an external CMOS clear button for when you're overclocking. Diving into the BIOS then, it features all the functionality you could wish for and more. Overclocking is great fun and easy to do, although I don't always agree with where menu items are. I got my Core i7-7700K to run at 4.8 GHz, but those results will vary depending on your chip. You can play with fan and RGB controls here as well, but I'm going to show you the software in Windows instead. RGB Fusion will let you change color, brightness and how the lights act or react. You can recalibrate RGB strips so they show the correct color. The LEDs can also be set to react to temperature, audio, time and anything really, even to how fast you're downloading something. Setting up fans is equally easy to do, letting you choose between many different profiles and manual settings per fan. Conclusion time then. The Gigabyte Aorus Z270X is a great mid-range motherboard which features nearly everything you could wish for. You get plenty of storage options, great networking and of course great fan and RGB controls. It's easy to install and to overclock and to set up perfectly for your personal needs. Anyway guys, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see the Gaming 7 motherboard next week, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to follow this channel even more, there's Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for that. Also, if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link all in the description below. For now, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.